two of them. And every time you see these particular words, you are going to need to know what it means. Okay, an intercept is a point that crosses an axis, is called an intercept. Now, if the graph crosses the X-intercept, and I'm going to give you a little picture here, this is going to be the graph you're going to see. It's going to have two lines that intersect. The X-intercept is going to fall on this horizontal line. Okay, and when it falls on this horizontal line, it is known as the X-intercept, which means if I have a dot anywhere on this yellow line, and let's say right here, this is going to give me an X value with the Y value being 0. This is known right here in red as the X-intercept. It's going to have an X value because you're going from the origin to the X value, but it has a Y as part of its ordered pair. But we then have something called the Y-intercept. Well, the Y-intercept is on the vertical line. Now, if there is a point on this green line, and let's say I'm going to put it up here, it can be anywhere it wants to on the green line, okay, it is going to have a 0 coming first, but a value for Y following behind it, because the Y-intercept crosses the Y-axis. It's got to be a point on that green line. The X-intercept is the red dot, and that red dot can be anywhere on the X-axis. So intercepts, the X-intercept has a value for X when in the ordered pair, the Y is 0. If you have a Y-intercept, you have the X value in an ordered pair as 0, but you have a number for the Y. Now, with that said, let's look at this picture. Okay, I'm going to blow it up a little bit. Now, notice how I labeled 2 points. This X-intercept is -2, 0. Notice it's on this yellow line. This is a red dot. But if I'm looking for the Y-intercept, it is on this green line. Okay. It's on the green line. Notice that it is this point right here. 0, 4. Well, notice here, the x-intercept has a value for x, which was -2, followed by 0. The y-intercept had a value of x as 0, but I have a 4. Pictures. X-intercept is on the yellow line, the horizontal line. The y-intercept is on the green vertical line. Now, with that said, the key part about it is, why do I need 2 points? Well, 2 points make a line. If we know the x-intercept and the y-intercept point, we have a line that we can connect the 2 dots as shown in this picture. 2 points make a line. The x-intercept and the y-intercept make a line. Now, with that said, we're going to look at a table. Now, this is where you're going to be asked to complete the table. Okay? Complete the table. Well, notice we have these values. These values are x values. I am going to put them in for x. And if I do that, notice the y column is blank. I will then be able to find the y. So if I put 2, 0 plus 4y equals 12, I am going to know that 2 times 0 is going to give me 0. And 4y equals 12 gives me a y value of 3. Okay, notice what I did. 2 times 0. That 0 was the x that came from the first column, plus 4y is equal to 12. That means that in this column, I am going to write y is equal to 3. Well, it's going to get a little more interesting. If I go to the next row, this is 2 times 2 plus 4y equals 12. Well, this time it's going to be 4y equals 8, or y equals 2. Okay. 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 So my second value in the y column is coming to be the value 2. Now, if I do 4, this is going to give me 2 times 4 plus 4y equals 12. 4y is going to give me 4, or y is going to equal 1 when I do my algebra. And last but not least, okay, there's my y. Okay. I'm going to do the last one. Okay. Now, this is going to give me 2 times 6 plus 4y equals 12. Now, this will give me 4y equals 0, or when I divide by 4, y equals 0. Okay. Now, okay, this is what I'm doing. But now we've completed the table. Now, the slope, we haven't found that yet, but we're going to. In this case, we have a couple of things that we can do. Notice that we want to find the X-intercept and the Y-intercept. Well, this is where you have to know what the words mean. In this case, the X-intercept has got to have 0 here. That means in this Y column, where is 0? It's the last one. This is 6, 0. Now, my Y-intercept has an X value of 0. And the value that goes with it is my 3. Now, these 2 points are what I'm going to use. Now, 6, 0 is going to be right here. This is my 6, 0. I go 6 across, 0. My Y-intercept is 0, 3. My Y-intercept is 0, 3. Okay, 0, 3. Now, when you use your graphing tool, in Pearson, you place 2 and only 2 points on the graph. When you put the second point, a line will form going through the 2 dots, and you use any additional points from your table to confirm the line is drawn correctly. Okay, and that's the key. When you put the blue on, that's one little dot. But the minute you hit the graphing tool to place the second dot, let's say it was the red one, you will find that Pearson will automatically draw a line between these 2 points. And it'll put arrows at the end. But these 2 points in the middle of your table, can we confirm that they will be on the line? Well, if we look right here, this is saying 2, 2. Do you see that 2, 2 is fitting on that black line? If I take this other point, 4, 1, do you notice it's sitting right here on the black line? These are used to confirm, did you draw the line correctly? Because the tool is automatically going to put a line on it. It's just the way it works. But how do you know you've drawn the line correctly? Well, we're using these 2 points. That was my blue point right here, and that was my red point right here. The intercepts are 2 points that make a line. Now, we want the slope. Well, they're going to ask you to read the graph. Well, if you need, make the graph bigger so that you can talk about going down. Okay. Now notice I'm going to show you here. I made my graph bigger. From the blue dot, I'm going down 1, 2, 3. This is down 3. Now from where this red and hot pink line where I put the little X, I now go across and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I went right 6, which means my slope is down 3, right 6. But don't forget, I have to reduce this fraction to -1/2. This is how we're using the graphing tool. Now, this is using the graph, everything we've learned, the new table. Well, now we're going to use what they call the slope-intercept form. Well, this is going to require a little bit of work from you. Okay. Now, this is the slope-intercept form. Y is equal to mx plus b. Well, if you remember, this m represents the slope. Okay, the m in front of x represents the slope. And notice slope. Now, the catch here is the b term. The b term. Okay, this b term which is this term right here, is another way of talking about the y-intercept. Notice right here, the ordered pair 0b is going to be known as your y-intercept. Now, let's look at this example. I have the equation y equals, and notice it's got to start with y equals. What's in front of x? Well, if we look real closely, -7 is our slope. Now, be careful. The b is our y-intercept, and notice how it's written. This -18, -18 is our b term, but the b has to be written because I'm asking for a point. Y-intercept. This is a slope and a point. Okay? One point, a special point. The point is an intercept. Now, these next two slides are very nice. They are going to ask you to use this form, and there's a couple of quirks to it that I've got to show you. Now, this is asking you to identify the slope and the y-intercept. Well, right away, the slope is what's in front of x. Okay? Slope is in front of x. And that is going to give me a -6.5. Now, the y-intercept is a special point. Okay, it is the point that has 0 coming first, but it is this part of the equation, which is a positive 2.5. This is my y-intercept. Okay? Now, this one, okay. This one, you have to know that this is in the form y is equal to mx plus b. But there's some things that you have to recognize. In front of this x, do you see a 1? Remember, I don't write the 1. So this m is -1/3 followed by the x. Now, you're going to say there's nothing back here. Well, that's right. There is nothing back there. So therefore, since there's nothing there, my b is going to be +0. b is going to be +0. My slope is a -1/3. Now, be careful. My y-intercept is 0, 0. Okay? This 0 is the 0 that is right here. That's my 0. This first 0 is part of the fact that it's a special point. Point has an X and a Y value. Now, this next one, okay, this is where you got to be careful. This is Y equals mx plus b. Now, you're going to say in this problem, where's the x? Well, you have to recognize that this is y equals 0 x plus 4. This mx is missing, which means my slope is 0, the number in front of x. My y-intercept is 0, positive 4. This is my b. Now the last one, okay, I'm just writing it differently. My slope is what's in front of x. Well, notice I put the negative 2x behind the 100. Well, my slope is negative 2. My b, I went and switched it. I wrote this as y is equal to b minus 2x. This b is 0, 100. Okay? Now, this is saying graph. Okay? The equation y is equal to 3x minus 4. Now, if you look in this x column, I don't have any values. Well, this is where you have to remember 2 points make a line. And if you remember, we're looking for an x-intercept, which means I need a number for x when y is 0, and then I need a y-intercept. This 0 in the y column is the x-intercept. The second row is my y-intercept. And those are the 2 points I'm going to graph on this line. But you're going to notice I have a third row right here. Pick a number, but try not to make it any bigger than the horizontal values. In this case, I am going to pick let's just say I pick a negative 4. Okay? Well, now I have to come up here. Okay? And it says first plot points. Okay. Well, this is saying my y is 0. Well, if my y is 0, this is saying 0 equals 3x minus 4. That's what I write for this particular equation. But I've got to solve for x. I'm going to come over here. If 0 equals 3x minus 4, add 4 to both sides, and then divide by 3. This is 4/3, which means that this x-intercept is 1 1/3 with a 0 behind it. Notice I've made it a mixed number. That means that it is going to sit. Let's make a red dot. A little bit right there. I made it a little bit too big. Let's see if I can erase it. Okay, let's make a smaller red dot. Okay. This is my red dot. It's like right there. I'll make a red mark. That's easier. 1 1/3. This dashed line is 1. The fraction 1/3 means it's a little bit to the right. Well, if I use the second one, which is my y-intercept, this is saying, okay, this is saying y equals 3 times 0 minus 4, which means that my y-intercept is 0, -4. Well, notice, where's my 0, -4? Well, that's going to be right here. I have a red line. I have a blue line. Now, remember, when I use my graphing tool, it is going to then, once I put my second point on, it's going to go through. Now, let's check. Oh, let's make it a little easier. I'm going to make this, instead of a -4, let's make it a -1, because that'll be easier to see. Okay. Well, if I put y equals 3 times -1 minus 4, this is going to give me a -7, okay? Which means my line down here should be closer to right here. Right here. This is the way I can adjust and see, is my line correct? If I want to take another point, let's say we took 2. The point, let's say we took 2. This would give me y equals 3 times 2 minus 4. This would give me the ordered pair 2, 2. Well, look where my 2, 2 will be. Right here. See my green little mark? 2, 2. I've got it. There's my line. You can pick more than one point. You want to make sure this line is drawn as straight as you can. Okay? Now, something to notice. Okay? It then says use the slope-intercept to graph. Okay. Well, let me show you what that means. It means that if I take the y-intercept, which is this blue dot, and notice what I'm going to do. Okay. I'm going to kind of erase this and leave my green, my red dot. Okay. This is now going to use my blue dot. I use the blue dot, the y-intercept, which means from 0, 4, which is this one. Now, the slope, okay, this is where you're going to have to watch. My slope is 3, but I've got to put a 1 under it because a slope is a fraction. From this blue dot, I go up 3. 1, 2, 3 over 1. But notice what happens if I go from this place, 1, 2, 3, I hit this point. This goes this way. Now, this is where you have to recognize this is the same slope, but it is going to take me from this place down 1, 2, 3, and notice what's this point right here? It is this point. This slope took me this way. This slope took me up the blue line. Now, this may not make sense to you until I do another one. And let's show you what I mean. We are only going to graph using, there's no table here. We are only going to use the slope and the y-intercept to graph. Okay. Well, first off, my slope now, do you see this negative? It is going to be -3 over 4, and it's going to be a +3 over -4. And why do I have two slopes? This is where it comes in. My y-intercept is 0, 5, which means it's right here. This is that point. And notice there's my intercept. Now, this is what I call slope number 1. From the red you are going to go down 3, right 4. Okay, you are going to go down 3, because that's the top number. Negative means down, right 4. And this is from the red dot. Well, notice Down 3 is 1, 2, 3, but I'm going right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That means this is the direction slope 1 took me. Well, what about slope 2? Okay, you are still going back to the red dot. From the red dot, this time you go up 3 and left 4. Okay, because down and right, remember, it's rise over run. If it's negative, we are going down. If it's negative, we're going down. If it's right, this number's positive. Well, from this red dot, notice what we're going to do. We're going up 3. 1, don't want to make them highlighted, want to make them very skinny lines. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and now we're going left 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is our second slope. One is taking you down, one is taking you up. And if you take this point and this point, you can determine whether you have it correctly. Now, slope 1 has got us down 3, right 4. Okay. Down 3, right 4. Up 3, left 4. Okay. Now, let's try it a couple more times. Okay, now this one, you gotta be careful. It has got to be in the form y equals mx plus b. Well, if you look at this one, add y to both sides, and then subtract 3x. It's got to be in this 3x. It's got to be in this form, y equals. The negative y, I moved to the other side of the equal sign. This negative 3x came from the fact that I moved the positive 3x from the left side over to this side. Now, my slope 1 is going to be negative 3 over positive 1. My second slope is a positive 3 over negative 1. My y-intercept is 0, 3, which means 0, 3 is right there. That's my y-intercept, okay? And that comes from the fact that this is a positive 3. I go vertically up. Now, my slopes. Okay. Now, This first one means from the red dot, you go down 3, right 1. From the red dot, you go up 3 and left 1. Okay, so let's do the first one. From the red dot, I am going to go down 3. 1, 2, 3. Right 1. That means right there. This is the direction of slope 1. Now, remember, it takes 2 points to make a line. Well, the line that you use your graphing tool from is going to send you from the red to the black first dot. But remember, we want to check it. That means you have to look at where does this point fall on the line. Well, this time we're going up 3, left 1, which means this point should be on the line that is created in Pearson. Let's try it again. Now, this one is where you have to be real careful, because this one, notice it says slope of 0. There's no equation with this one. We have a point and a slope. Well, find 1, 1. Well, 1, 1 is going to be right there. Okay? Okay. It's going to be right here. Let's make it black. That's my 1, 1. Now remember, slope 1 is 0 over 1. Slope 2 is 0 over -1, which means I'm going not up, because this is my rise. My rise says I stay right where I am, but I go right. This slope is going to go right here. This is my rise, but this time I'm going left. I have a horizontal line. A 0 slope is a horizontal line. Okay? This is a horizontal line. Now, something you're going to have to be careful with. Okay? This has an equation. Okay? This equation is going to be y equals 1. It is the y value, because slope of 0 is saying that y equals 0x plus b. Well, what's my b? My b is 1. Now, again, using what we've learned, undefined slope. Undefined slope. Okay. An undefined slope is a vertical line. Find this point. -1, -4. Okay, that's going to be right out there, right here. Well, vertical is this point. It's a vertical line because my slope is the word undefined, or 1 over 0. -1 over 0. This is saying that I'm going up 1. This is saying I'm going up. This is saying I'm going up, but I'm staying. I'm not going, there's no right or left. This is saying I'm going down, but I'm staying on the vertical line. But I'm staying on the vertical line. This 0 is the undefined fraction. Now, this equation is x equals -1. -1. Because remember, I have no slope. This line is going to give me x is equal to -1. Because every value on this black line is -1. Okay? Now, story problem time. Okay, this is where we are going to do some interpretation. And this interpretation, they're going to give you an equation. You just have to be able to interpret it. Okay? This says kudzu vines are invasive and can exhibit incredible growth in favorable conditions. Suppose the vine's length is given by this equation, where L is in inches, T is the number of days, and this is the catch you have to watch, since July 1st. Okay, identify and interpret the slope. Okay, now in this equation, my slope is the number in front of T. In this equation, the slope is the number in front of T. Okay, and my y-intercept is 0.525 inches. Okay, so therefore my slope, or m, equals 9, or 9 inches per day. Because remember, the slope is a fraction. This t is 9/1. This is a unit rate, and remember the word rate of change. Okay. And this is saying my y-intercept is 0, 5 to 5, where I am starting to examine the vine at 525 inches long. Now, write a sentence interpreting the slope. Okay, well, we kind of did. It is 9 inches of growth from 525 inches started on July 1st. It's 900 inches of growth from 9 inches started on, in this case, July 1st, 9 inches of growth per day from 525 inches long. Now, we're going to use the same problem, okay? But now look what it's going to say. Write the y-intercept from the equation. Well, this is asking you to write 0, 525. We already did that in A. But it says write a sentence interpreting the y-intercept. Okay. Well, this is saying that the vine was 525 inches long when we began to examine it on July 1st. Okay. $525. That's how long the vine had grown when we started to take calculations. We didn't start when it was a seedling. We started when it was 525 inches long. Now, let's try again. New story. Now, this one's going to be a little more interesting because it says use the slope-intercept form, which means when we use it, we are looking and writing y is equal to mx plus b. And if you look at this, it says suppose you purchase a new iPad for $400. So you can download books for, okay, $12.99 each. Okay, write a linear equation for the cost. Now, cost, you're going to find they like to use the letter C. That is another way of replacing this y with the cost. Now, when we talk about $12.99 each, $12.99 is my slope. because $12.99 each means we're multiplying by $12.99. So this is $12.99x. But what's the B? The B is the cost of the iPad. Because without the iPad, can you download songs? No, you got to start with the purchase. This is the iPad. You have to have the iPad to then download songs. No iPad, no downloading songs. Well then, here we come. It says, if you were to graph this equation, and remember we just wrote the equation as y equals 1299x plus 400, what variable would be the horizontal? Well, remember, the horizontal is the x. Okay. The x would equal the number of books downloaded, and the vertical is the y, which is the cost found from the purchase of the iPad and the downloaded songs. And it's really the total cost. And you're going to say, why total? Well, what does this plus mean? Total cost. So the y would be the total cost. That's what this C is. And remember, that was the capital C that we used. Total cost. And total comes from the fact that we're adding. Now, this one, okay, little different story. Now, this is where you're going to have to know a few things. This is saying a company determines a salesman's monthly salary with the formula right here. S is equal to 3,000 plus 0.05x. Now, where X is the value of his sales. Now, it's saying identify the slope. Well, first off, we have a decimal, okay? We have a salesman. Our slope is going to be 0.05 or a commission of 5%. You're going to see this slope identified a couple of different ways. The slope is this 0.5, but in this story, what does the 0.5 represent? His commission. Because if X is his sales, then therefore he's earning 5%. Okay. And your Y-intercept is going to be, now be careful, the Y-intercept is 0, 3,000. Okay. Now, it says write sentences to interpret the slope and the y-intercept. Okay. Now, the S represents his salary. The salesman's salary increases by, now, we can say 5% or 0.05 cents for each dollar of sales, or the salesman, and I should have put an S right here, salesman's salary has a 5% commission of his sales as part of his salary. Okay. And he earns a flat rate of $3,000 per month without any sales. This is the y-intercept. Now, with this one, your commission can be one of these two sentences. He has an increase of 5% or 5 cents, because remember, money is 0.05 cents for each dollar of sales, or the salesman's salary has a 5% commission of his sales as part, because remember, we have a plus. But he earns $3,000 a month. That is our y-intercept. He just has to be at the store, and he earns $3,000 if he's there every day. He has to work for 1 month. Some of these things you have to bring in to the story. Now, this one is saying again. Now, this one is going to require a little more work from us. This is saying a hairstylist is analyzing her revenue. Okay. Now, there's some words you got to follow. Initially, she had an annual revenue of $45,000. Now, she has had a consistent increase of revenue each year. And increase of revenue each year. After 5 years, she has $61,000. Now, notice what they're asking you to do. At what rate? Rate is saying, I need a slope. The word rate is saying that I need a slope, which means I have to know that there are 2 points in this story problem. Well, what are the points? Initially. Initially means 0, $45,000. After 5 years, she has $61,000. Initially is the 0. This is what she made initially. For the first year, when we went from January 1st to December 31st, when she opened her store, that's initially that year she made $45,000 until we hit the second January 1st. We've completed a year. So that means when she did her taxes when she first opened the store, she's reporting $45,000. Well, now our slope comes into play. This is X1, Y1, X2, Y2. My slope is 61,000 minus a positive 45,000 divided by 5 minus 0. Well, gotta take, and I have 61,000 minus 45,000. Now this will give me 16,000 over 5. But remember, we're talking money. I've got to divide that 62,000 by 5 to get $3,200, which means she has had a rate of change of $3,200 each year since her initial year. $3,200 is her rate of change. Each year she's going up $3,200. It's a positive slope. Well, now this is saying write an equation of her annual revenue. Okay, well, a couple things you have to know. First off, you need to recognize that this ordered pair that we wrote was $45,000, which is our Y-intercept, which means Y equals, we have some number in front of X, which we know was $3,200. That's our slope, plus $45,000. This is our equation. Okay. 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 And it says write an equation for her annual revenue based on the number of years. Now it says use meaningful variables. Well, the meaningful variables are going to be Y equals her total revenue. Okay. And X represents the number of years she has been in business, which is 5 years. So the variables Y is her total revenue. The X is the fact that she's earning $3,200, okay, per year, where X is the 5 years she's been in business. Because if we put in 5 for that X, we will get $6,100. Okay. Now, this is the end of 3.5. Enjoy.